Happy University Day. Miss Heron was my third grade teacher. When I walked into Miss Heron's class as a third grader, the first question that we were asked, and it was a little bit of a competition once the question was asked. Everybody felt like they had to outdo the other. She said, "What did you do for summer vacation?" This year, my wife and I win. I have developed commuter elbow that Sandy Sandago is helping to get me through. And we had an incredible summer vacation right here in the state of South Carolina. And I can assure you, like every other vacation, the best part of it was coming home because that's the place that means the most. I'm happy to be back with you this morning as your chancellor. And it is my distinct pleasure to introduce some of our special guests as well. We have a team on the field for this university to be supported. And that includes a wide variety of constituents and supporters, leaders from the Commission on Higher Education in Spartanburg County, as well as the USC Upstate Foundation Board. I'm going to introduce these individuals, and then I'd ask that you all join me in welcoming them. Kathy McCabe from the Commission. No. We can't do individual rounds of applause. Not that Kathy's not fantastic. Tony Lister, not only from the Commission on Higher Education, but from our Board of Trustees and a wonderful supporter. Harold McLean from the Commission. Bill Cobb. David Church. Where are you, David? And let's note, David is one of our illustrious alums as well. And Ann Flynn, for those of you who don't know, also goes by force of nature. From the USC Upstate Foundation Board, Ralph Brendel, Ken Dar, and Phil Feisel. And I'm sorry, I'm missing one. Scott Heath. My apologies, Scott. You might remember him from almost every basketball game. Ladies and gentlemen, so much of this university is rooted in the number of supporters that we have rallying around us all of the time. For those of us who work here every day, we don't always notice the legislative support, the leaders who are on the outside of the university, not only looking in, but investing in as we go along. And all of these individuals make up that team. So please join me in thanking them. So we have a strategic plan. That strategic plan has asked us to get better, and one of the things that we need to do on University Day is certainly to mark time. We need to make certain that we are living up to the strategic priorities that we set for ourselves in that strategic plan to provide a rigorous, career-relevant, and accessible education, to enhance the quality of life in the upstate of South Carolina, and to be a university of choice for faculty, staff, students, and the communities in which we are service to. We make one claim. We say that we create transformative opportunities. That's what our strategic plan says. We create transformative opportunities. That should be for students and for employees alike. Our work needs to prove that claim. So let's take a look at a small sample of the positive things that have happened over the last year. We have to talk about new resources because this university doesn't get inherently better unless we continue to add resources to it. We never have more than what we have at that moment, but we can never stop trying to add new resources to this institution. Over the last year, we have added legislative resources. The South Carolina legislature, while it has not been the most friendly place to be for higher education over the last decade or so, during the last year or two, things have certainly changed a bit. This university has received a $2.5 million in new recurring funding. That is critical. $2.5 million in new recurring funding results in two things. One, over 4 years, that's $10 million invested in this institution. And two, that allows us to raise tuition $0 this year. And that's how we achieve a more accessible university education. Last year, I was proud to announce that we had $3.5 million invested from the state in renovating the Smith Science Building, which is in dire need of lab renovation. This year, they added another $3 million to that project. We are now ready to move forward with that renovation, and we will go back and ask them to help out with that last component of it. The legislature authorized a 2% salary increase for most employees. And today, we get a chance to announce something that we haven't shared very widely. One of the things that we need to do to offer that rigorous, career-relevant education is to make certain that we can take the academic programs we have to the next level. One of the fastest-growing majors we have is exercise science, and you don't get to teach exercise science really well without advanced equipment that tells you why your golf swing is off and why you're walking like a cave person. Both of those things are diagnoses I've received, so I'm proud to announce that the South Carolina legislature also invested $517,000 into our exercise science program so that we're able to develop the most advanced labs that we possibly can so that that large number of majors gets the highest quality education in that major that they are able. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where we clap. When the legislature invests directly in academic programs, we always cheer. Our fundraising outcomes, which is a critical part of our outline, we once again have outpaced and accelerated our growth on that front. We increased our competitiveness on the fundraising front by landing at a higher annual average than we had in the previous 5 years, and that included a $1.6 million gift from our late colleague, Barbara Hastings. We have a brand new resource sitting among us today, and that goes along with the current resource that sits in this room. The most important thing that we have are our faculty and staff, and the number of people who make this university great every day is incredible, but for us, inviting new people into this community is a resource to celebrate. Well, we will certainly not highlight everybody. I would like to highlight a few. 22 new full-time faculty members enhancing our intellectual capital at this institution. A boundless number of new and ambitious staff members. Following a national search, we were able to go to Memphis, specifically to the University of Memphis, and steal from the Lowenberg College of Nursing their associate dean so that she could become our new superstar dean in the Mary Black School of Nursing, Dr. Shirlitha Lee. Stolen directly from our own midst as we went and needed to consider searching the world for the finest dean of the College of Science and Technology that we could. Our own interim leader on that front, Dr. Jeannie Chapman, who I will note has overseen some of the largest grants coming into this university over the last few years. Dr. Jeannie Chapman is now the permanent dean for the College of Science and Technology. I didn't mention that she's a superstar, but you are. You can steal some of the best things in the country from Texas. And we did. Proudly. One of the things that we've been looking to do is certainly enhance our leadership in terms of student affairs. That's one of the most important things to the experience of students at this university. And we are fortunate, or perhaps we have the good fortune, of having stolen Dr. Andre Fortune from the University of Texas at Arlington, our new Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. We have 2 new head coaches to guide some of our student athletes. I got a chance to sit with one of our baseball players the other day. And I said, when did you decide to come here? He said, the minute you hired Mike McGuire, that's when I decided to come here. And I went, well, you were going to go to his previous school? And he said, yes. I said, then you just traded up, man. Mike McGuire is a storied head coach for collegiate baseball at the Division I level, knows South Carolina well, and we couldn't be more pleased to have him here guiding our team. Please welcome Mike. And Coach Shirley, Rhonda Shirley. Rhonda Shirley, who has taken over our volleyball program, has attempted to inject a sense of energy and competitiveness into all of those young ladies. For those of you who are not aware, Tress and I have a daughter who plays collegiate volleyball. That particular sport is one we understand well, and I couldn't be more pleased to have Coach Shirley guiding our team. Please welcome Rhonda. Our people are what allow us to create transformative opportunities to our other great resource, and that is all of the students that we are in service to. This year, we're welcoming more than 900 new freshmen and 900 new transfer students to the USC Upstate community. Those new freshmen include 9 valedictorians, 9 high school valedictorians, 30 Palmetto Fellows, and 443 Life Scholars. Obviously, every time we bring in a new class of students, we have a new set of responsibilities, and I'm excited about this new class as we got to meet most of them on Sunday. But to ensure that we are delivering on our promise, to ensure that we're delivering on the promise of creating transformative opportunities for those students, we have to make sure we stay focused. That's why we have gone through this series of planning and evaluation. We spent the last 2 years creating a strategic plan that has three priorities for us to focus in on. We then turned that strategic plan and those strategic priorities into measures, because what gets measured is what gets done. We can't just say that we create transformative opportunities. We have to prove that claim every day, every month, every quarter, and every year. That university scorecard turned into scorecards for every division at the university, all derived from the same place, all derived from a common set of goals, but reinterpreted into the various work that each division does. And then each of those scorecards were turned into blueprints that outline actions for the year. As leadership, we spend all of our time now focused on the top of that chart. The quarterly initiatives, the actions that actually feed into achieving what the strategic plan has promised. To do that, we make certain that we have leadership development institutes. Every 90 days, we bring together more than 90 leaders across the university. Head coaches sitting next to deans, sitting next to department chairs, sitting next to directors. We work on some very basic things. Where are we doing well? And why? And where are we falling short? And why? So that turns into strategic improvement conversations all over the university. I sat with the Faculty Senate Committee chairs and Elizabeth Zach, who serves as our Faculty Senate Chair, earlier this week. We had lunch for almost 2 hours, and the entire meeting was about how we can be better, how we can be better as a Faculty Senate, how we can have better policy. We weren't sitting and figuring out who's to blame for not being where we want to be. All we did was spend our time trying to figure out how to get where we want to be. That's what a strategic improvement conversation is, and I'm delighted to see that so many of them are occurring at this institution. So let's see how it's working, because that's where the rubber meets the road. We said in our strategic plan that we would offer and develop innovative, career-relevant academic programs, and we are. But develop was the key piece. We have to keep getting better. Earlier this week, the only one of its kind in the state was celebrated as we launched for the first time the Master of Science in Business Analytics in the Johnson College of Business and Economics, a 1-year program that equips graduates with big data expertise. We met our first 15 students in that program, coming from all walks of life, and about 50% of them graduating from USC Upstate. Over last year at this time, we had 10 students, certified teachers teaching in our school districts, enrolled in our MED program. And then our College of Education, Human Performance and Health went through the process of revising that MED program so that we were able to better meet the needs and expectations of teachers in the 7 school districts in Spartanburg County and all of the districts surrounding. Today, we have 200 certified teachers enrolled in that program. And most of those are being supported by their school district. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how we make education in South Carolina better, by school districts and their university working together. Soon we'll have our new bachelor's degree in community health, which was recently approved by CHE and is pending SAC-COC review, on the books and available to students. The purpose of the BA in community health is to provide education and training for students interested in the field of health, to increase the number of community health workers for organizations in the region and the state, and to provide students with the opportunity to leverage interests in careers of health and the like. We make South Carolina better by producing the types of talent that enhance the quality of life. And finally, this year we'll continue to work through the process of bringing a BS in cybersecurity. If every university in the United States took all of their computer security programs, mashed them all together, we counted all the graduates, we would still fall far short of the talent needs of the nation in that area. And we have to make sure we're a higher producer on that front. I say that because we are one of the highest producers on that front. This past spring, the Chronicle of Higher Education recognized USC Upstate as the 7th highest producing university in the percentage of females graduating in computer science. We are sitting right next to Florida State and Penn State. If you look around in computer science and engineering for females, you're going to have a difficult time finding some. That is a point of pride for this university. And when I say 7th in the nation, I mean all universities. We need to continue to invest in that area. And earlier this spring, we launched the creation of the Center for Academic Innovation and Faculty Support. We have to make certain that we're investing in the experience of our people so that we can be better. The umbrella structure will incorporate active learning, learning technologies, distance education, and service learning. It broadens our approach to faculty support to include peer mentorship, faculty development and administrative leadership, and to support innovation related to our strategic goals. It's okay for us to do things differently just so that we can try to get better. We said that we would expand experiential learning. We said that experiential learning was a key piece of what makes USC Upstate special. So we created, over the past year, the new Office of Career Management. And there's exciting news on that front. Exciting news on that front. We have 2 new hires in that office. One, we were able to go right inside the belly of this beast we call USC Upstate to find an exceptional director for that office. We stole her from the Johnson College of Business and Economics because, are you applauding the stealing? Is that? Mo's applaud? No, I accept. Thank you. She had done such a phenomenal job creating professional development opportunities for students in the Johnson College that it only made sense for her to lend that leadership university-wide, and that is Hannah Turpak. And I will note, Hannah just hired a new internship coordinator for the university. And she went after one of the most driven people I think I've ever encountered, and he happens to be a graduate of this university and of the Johnson College. His name is Zane Gray. If you do not know him, you will. They are working with the Dean of University College to create a new program, and that is what we are so proud to announce and talk about today, the Upstate GROW program, Guided Reflection on Work. Upstate GROW intends to make student employment working at the university a high-impact practice so that our students are more intentional about trying to take their campus job experience and tying it into their careers and classroom learning wherever it is possible. Upstate Grow requires that faculty and staff supervisors have 2 short conversations with student employees each semester about their learning of professionalism in the workplace, the development that they are experiencing in terms of soft skills and the skills that are tied to the National Association of Colleges and Employers that we have celebrated at Upstate for some time. Upstate Grow will enable our students to better leverage their on-campus work experience both on their resumes and during interviews for internships. We stole this model from another university because why not? But the fact is, we said we were going to create more high-impact practices. We said we were going to do it a little differently, and this model allows us to forage forth. We spend a lot of time talking about student employees and how they tie this experience to what comes next for them. And all of that insight has fed into producing this program. We're also introducing a new software platform, Handshake. It's an easy-to-use software platform that connects our students to new alumni, or students and new alumni, to internships and to jobs right here in this region. Keeping in mind that most of our students come to us with some amount of work experience and then continue to work throughout their college career. Our goal is to have each graduating senior have a polished resume, posted on Handshake, one that has been reviewed by someone on campus, and ultimately, more than 400,000 employers that are on Handshake now, seeking new talent, will have no shortage of options among our newest graduates. Imagine that it is the most active LinkedIn for new college graduates, and it's time for us to get on board. Our new internship coordinator, Zane Gray, will help stir these conversations early and make sure that we integrate this new software platform into the work that we're doing. We said that we would enhance the quality of life in the upstate of South Carolina, and I will tell you that I could go through a list of 100 different things that we have done at this institution to try to affect that outcome. I will not highlight all of them. I will highlight 3 individuals, though. 3 individuals because there is a confluence of intentionality that's occurring at USC Upstate right now. We have a representative of this university who has intentionally gone out, 1 into Leadership Spartanburg, 1 into Leadership Greenville, and 1 as a fellow at the Riley Institute at Furman University. For Leadership Spartanburg this year, Dr. Araceli Hernandez LaRoche. For Leadership Greenville, Dr. Deisha Bro. She just got married. And our own Dr. Jeannie Chapman is the newest fellow at the Riley Institute at Furman University. Getting involved in that type of leadership is important. We spend a lot of time being involved in the university, celebrating what is happening at the university without any of those messages penetrating the bubble that then goes and connects to the communities we're in service to. These 3 leaders have intentionally gone out and taken their intellectual capital to the streets. We said that we would expand faculty engagement in public scholarship. And I will tell you, just before I walked in this room, I got a chance to talk to Dr. Andy Myers. He's our professor in American Studies. He was a recipient this past year as he and I sat in tuxedos while he received the prestigious the USC System Award for becoming a Carolina Trustee Professorship Award winner. There are 3 of those awards given to faculty members throughout the USC system every year. Since I've been here, USC Upstate has celebrated 2 of those recipients. And Dr. Flynn informed me that we didn't apply the other year. Over the last year, Dr. Myers, along with colleagues, got a chance to publish his 2nd volume of Recovering the Piedmont Past. You are always worth celebrating, Dr. Myers. Thank you We had another award winner that celebrates public scholarship, and that's Dr. Josh Ruppel. He was recognized as a breakthrough star for the USC Office of Research. He was given that award. It's an award given to early career faculty who've made great strides in research over a relatively short period. And Dr. Ruppel's research that is funded by the National Institutes of Health, which is a tough get, folks, qualified him for that award. Congratulations, Josh. We said that we would expand opportunities to engage with K through 12, and while we have done that in a myriad of ways and are probably more intertwined with the school districts in Spartanburg County than in any time in recent history of this institution, the development of the Call Me Mister program over the last year, a program that is a highly acclaimed national recruitment program. It's a support program to specifically prepare and support African American males to go into teaching. And in Spartanburg County, there is no better contribution we can make to the lives of young people than to celebrate that program at USC Upstate. We say congratulations to that college and Dean Reynolds. And then we said we'd try to be a university of choice. A university of choice for faculty, staff, students, and the community. And some of that has to be consumed in how other people see us. There should be a sense of symmetry and continuity that comes along with that. And then came a brand change. A brand change so that we are better able to specifically focus on who we are and communicate to the communities in which we are in service to. That pushed us over into having a new magazine, which I will note, Jessica Blaze, who is our Associate Vice Chancellor for Marketing and Communication, brought a consultant down from the Washington Post so that we could enhance the magazine that we were putting out to the public. Remember that when you send people a magazine, they just leave it on their coffee table for a long time. So if it looks bad for a long time. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We launched an improved website. For those of you who are sitting in the front row, you don't know why everybody's chuckling. It's because it was so bad, we all just enjoyed in the absurdity of it. Now we are moving in an appropriate direction, one that when we put our #1 communication device out into the world, people are able to interact with it, like normal. New signage which ties together all of that, new mark, points of pride like the bus straps. When you see that bus driving down the highway taking athletic teams and students to events, there is no question where it comes from, and it connects together with things like the floor that you see on ESPN. And I want you to look closely at that floor because it is a symbol of intentionality and what we're trying to accomplish at this institution. That floor is a little easier to see on television. It celebrates the brand of the university with the big U in the middle of it. But if you look around that U, there's a rectangle. There's a rectangle because painted on that floor are lines for volleyball. Now that is the first time that the Hodge floor has ever had lines painted on it for volleyball. See, in the past, we've said, hey, we want you to come play Division I volleyball. We love you. We think you're great. But when it's time to play, you need to tape your lines. Your space is temporary. I hope that nothing we do at the university makes students feel like any of their space is temporary. It's time for us to make sure we paint the lines. Over the coming year, you'll see a marketing campaign that captures all of this brand work so that we are able to finally, aggressively communicate our identity throughout this region. We said that we would cultivate a more inclusive environment on campus that advances equity, wellness, and civility. We have made some changes to try to be a lot better at that. Our strengths lie in our diversity, and we share a commitment to foster an inclusive learning and living and working environment that affirms identity, embraces the university's core values of wellness, equity, civility, and celebrates the unique intellectual, cultural, and experiential dimensions of every Spartan, those who work here and those who attend. To further operationalize this commitment, we've created the Office of Institutional Equity, Inclusion, and Engagement, an official office reporting directly to the Chancellor where we can consolidate all of our efforts on that front. Under the leadership of USC Upstate's Chief Diversity Officer Al Atkins, this new office will serve as a key resource for collaboration across the campus and with community leaders. Inside of that context, we created employee resource groups that tie people together who work at this university either by interest or by identity affinity. We can create as many of them as people would like because our job is to create opportunity for people to come together and create community. We're also delving much more deeply into civility training. Led by the Division of Finance and Administration, we have captured a company called ELI. We beta tested it over the last year so that we could have civility training that we could make widespread across the university and, most importantly, ongoing. The way we treat each other, the way in which we do business and communicate, that's what defines what this university is and what people's employee experience at this university will be. And finally, we created a wellness team that would be focused in on our overall university effort toward wellness and good choice making. One of the things that students should have when they graduate from college is an ability to make good choices for themselves about little things like how much they should sleep and eat and how much water they should drink, when they should take advantage of health care. That's important. That's what we expect out of a university graduate. We have to make sure that we're offering it not only to our employees, but to our students as well. Our Director of Health Services, Mary Bucher, our Director of Counseling Services, Liz Jodewin, and our Director of Institutional Wellness, Kyle Brunin, will be leading that team for us this year. And over the course of this year, we will also be presenting what comes next. We have been doing a lot in terms of our physical space over the last few years. We created more places to sit. We have renovated the library. I say renovated in past tense as though it's going to be done before the start of next fall. Did I slip that announcement in there the right way, everybody? We still have work to do. And we're trying to maximize both our outdoor and our indoor space. But it is not enough. We are a growing university. We already have space needs that we are not meeting, and we have to strategically plan for the future. We just spent about 3/4 of a year in a master planning process that many people in this room have participated in, and we are coming to the end of that process. I'm going to be excited to share that master plan with you this fall. All of these products, all of these efforts, all of these results are products of our strategic plan. It's the actions and plans, the meetings, the strategic improvement conversations, leadership development institutes. Some of these ideas come from me, and some come from external stakeholders, and some come from faculty, and some come from staff. It doesn't much matter where the solution comes from as long as we are able to capture it. And we have to consistently continue to ask ourselves, where are we being successful? And why? Because we don't want to be accidentally successful. We can't replicate that. Where are we coming up short and why? Those are hard conversations. You know, we put on the university scorecard last October that retention was one of the most important things that we do. When we sat in with the faculty senate committee chairs the other day, I said retention is one of our core businesses. And one of our long-serving faculty members said, well, we have to make certain that we're investing in faculty and our employees too. And I said, I couldn't agree more. Problem is, they're interdependent. They're interdependent because without retention, we can't pay for having a great faculty and staff. we have to move those energies together in a transactional fashion. And when we came out last spring excited to come into a Leadership Development Institute and present data, we were looking at our retention rate of first-time, full-time students and said, we're 4% below the national average. We want to exceed the national average. By 2023, we want to exceed the national average. And we lost ground. We lost ground. And 90 of us sat in that room and kind of got deflated because we lost ground. But here's what was great. One, we know exactly where we stand. We know where we're trying to go, and we know we did not get there. So we didn't sit around for the afternoon pointing fingers at who's to blame. We spent the afternoon putting our heads together about what comes next. That's the type of university I want to work at. A university that doesn't mind sitting and talking about its problems. I got a chance to sit a week or two ago with all of our student leaders. I went up to North Carolina to visit their retreat. And their central question, 50 leaders voluntarily taking their time away to go to a retreat in North Carolina to work on their own leadership. And they asked me, why? 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 What's the why in your leadership? Why do you do this? It's a good question. Difficult one to answer for students because they're still trying to figure out so many of their whys. But for me, it's not hard. For me, I wake up every day with the same focus. I believe in what I just said. When we have great employees who are put in the position to be successful, a university community that gets excited to come here and be in service to others and to each other, that's part of that why. Part of my job is to try to create an environment where that occurs, and where we fall short to try to get better, and where we are successful to try to keep doing that. It's also to make certain that we get a chance to be involved in students' lives. It was not hard for me to turn down private sector opportunities through my career, because the minute I got a chance to teach students, that was the most meaningful work in my life. Many of you have heard me share the story that when my wife and I were first together, I was offered a private sector job and a faculty position on the same day. The same day. And the private sector position paid this much, and my faculty position paid this much. I'm a tall guy, that's a lot of space. So I got in the car, and Tressa said, so what did they say? I said, well, they offered me a faculty position. She said, what did you say? I said no. I mean, there's so much more money to be made with this other opportunity. And she said, you shouldn't do that. You should take the faculty position. I've been teaching for 2 years. I said, are you crazy? We have a child, a little child. I don't even know how we're going to afford diapers. She said, you are going to have a more meaningful life if that's the work you decide to do. That's what matches up for you. Now, I don't think there are many people in this room who have had a chance to get to know my wife that didn't arrive at the conclusion that she is smarter than me. But I have never forgotten that moment because that is the why. I love being involved in teaching students, and we will go through whatever challenges come along with that work in order to show up for work to do that every day. And hopefully to create great opportunities on that front for a wide variety of like-minded professionals. I share that because there's two things. One that I want to share with you that I think all of us can be proud of, and one that I'd like to announce today. First, that why for me is there because I believe it changes people's lives. That if we work hard to help people get someplace better, they will get someplace better. And as a university, USC Upstate does that. But again, our strategic plan, that tells us that we don't just get to say it. We don't get to just feel good about our work. We have to measure whether we actually create transformative opportunities. So let me share with you a data point from last year. The Social Mobility Index that's produced by CollegeNet measures the extent to which a college or university educates more economically disadvantaged students with family incomes below the national median and at a lower tuition so that they can graduate and obtain well-paying jobs. In order to perform well, there are 5 sectors, 5 categories on Social Mobility Index. You have to move from 5 to 1. Last year, USC Upstate, out of 1,363 universities in the United States, was 304th. We were the top performing university in the state of South Carolina on the Social Mobility Index. We are in the top 25% in 2017 of all universities measured in the Social Mobility Index. That, ladies and gentlemen, is creating transformative opportunities. However, we are no longer. Because the question we have to ask is, where are we being successful and why? And where are we falling short and why? The 2018 number just came out 2 weeks ago. We moved up almost 100 spots. We are now 206th in the nation. That's good. That's good stuff. We're one of the top performing universities on that front. We do create transformative opportunities. That measure tells us that that is happening. And that's why today we also want to focus in on the embodiment of that why. 3 years ago, I announced at this same speech that I was making Cliff Flynn provost for USC Upstate. He was serving as interim senior vice chancellor for academic affairs. He became provost and senior vice chancellor that day. He has spent 32 years, dedicated his entire career at USC Upstate trying to create those transformative opportunities. He has been a great leader. He is also going to be entering into his last year. He'll retire at the end of this year, having given service that matches or exceeds all of the great leaders and teachers that have come through this university. I'd ask all of you to join me before we start the Cliff Flynn celebratory train that will last months, I'm sure. I want you to all join me in thanking our provost who has worked tirelessly to represent this university, Cliff Flynn. That's good. That's good. Dr. Flynn is living his why in his work at this university. But operationally, once you have a provost who decides to retire, it's time for us to make certain that we do the things that we need to ensure that we have great leadership. So effective immediately, we will commence a provost search. We will be assembling that search committee in short course. I have asked Donette Stewart, our Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Services, as well as our Faculty Senate Chair, Dr. Elizabeth Zach, to co-chair that committee and guide us toward new leadership in academic affairs. And I can assure you that will be a critical activity that we engage in this year. We have a whole bunch of strategic plans and scorecards and action plans and LDIs, and all of that makes an enormous difference in how we direct ourselves. That's the mechanics of our success as a university and the success that we will achieve as a university. But there is another truth that we have to accept in that. There's another essential component. We have to consistently be willing to change and evolve. This university is different today than it was on the last university day, and next year it'll be different again. That's the point. If we are standing still and doing the same things, then we're not going to achieve the outcomes that we have all set out to achieve. I mean, if men's soccer is about to start, When men's soccer goes out on the field and coach starts calling the plays and the players start executing the plays, and then we don't win the game, even though they believed in themselves and their team and they tried hard, and then they go back to practice and coach goes, I got it. I know exactly how we're going to make it better. Let's run the same plays in the same way and just try harder and believe in ourselves more. Does that work? No, it doesn't. If it did, we would not have athletic teams or any other team that ever loses, because all we'd have to generate is belief. But we need to do better as a university. We're supposed to do better. And sometimes when you are doing better, you're doing things differently than you were before. Everything has to be on the table for us when we look at our actions as an institution. And I believe we can. But there are two essential pieces that have to come along with that. Because you don't get a chance to go into the type of environment we are in right now, where we're constantly striving to get better and having strategic improvement conversations and talking about our problems very openly with other leaders and taking ideas from everywhere. We don't get a chance to do that unless two things exist in this institution, and they cannot be manufactured by anything but the people in this room. And the first is the choice toward optimism. It requires that we have a positive mindset. We have a ton of challenges. We will never stop having a ton of challenges as a university. Higher education has a ton of challenges. If you really want to be frightened, come with me to a meeting of a whole bunch of other university presidents. You will be scared to death, and you won't be able to wait to get back on the plane to come home here. Remember, Andre Fortune ran away from Texas. Shirlitha Lee couldn't wait to get out of Memphis. That's right? Optimism is a choice. It's a choice in how we see things. It's a choice every day in the words that we use and how we approach problems. We can either be really focused on all of the things that are standing in front of us, or we can choose to be really focused on the outcome and put less of our energy into focusing on the barriers. We have the ability to get over a lot of obstacles. That was proven this year. And we had a lot of positive outcomes from it. Pessimism doesn't have a place at this institution at this time. And I ask all of you to accept that optimism is a leadership choice, and it's a choice that each of us make. It also is not one that means a lot in a community of people without trust. Trust is a choice too. I think we're fostering that environment here. And where we are not, we need to do better on that front too. But we can either choose to question or we can choose to trust. I would much rather come to work with 1,000 people who are both embracing optimism and at least starting with trust than going in the other directions, because without those two essential components, we don't get there. And I will tell you, I know I'm a rhetorician. I know that those things exist on this campus because I'm watching the permanent changes come up. And I'm watching them be created out of the things that we already have here. It's that kid that takes the big box of Legos and then makes it into something that looks like something real. And you go, wow, that's amazing. How could you take that random box of objects and make it into something beautiful? Because when I take the same box, I just make some Lego stacks. Trusting in optimism and trusting each other matters. When you look around our campus, you see beauty that other people are creating. When you look around our campus, you see the accomplishments that are accumulated from others' work, not just our own. When you look around our campus, You see others trying hard because of the investment that people have made in them. All of those things are elements that sit in our midst right now. And so is this. While we've been working on the renovation of the library, one of our long-serving leaders, Bruce Suddeth, came to me and said, "Hey, I want to do something cool in front of the library." Now, I don't know what he meant. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Something with water. It'll be great." Now, our job was to trust Bruce. Cheryl Turner Watts was sitting there for that conversation. Our job was to trust Bruce because he has helped galvanize so many others to create the beautiful campus that we have. So we did. What you see in front of you is a permanent fixture at USC Upstate now, a new waterfall, something that creates peace and mindfulness in front of our beautiful library. The thing about it is, it's not a waterfall that our own talent created wholly, even though it did. That waterfall is made out of the exact same slate as the front porch of the administration building. Our first building, the thing that founded this university, that same material can be reused, reinterpreted, reapplied by trusting somebody else to take the lead and create something that is both beautiful and permanent. Here's what I know. I know that the answers that we need are here. I know that we are the people. I know that it's on us to create the types of results that we have been working toward and hoping for, and we are the people that can make this university better every day and for decades to come. Doing better is doing differently sometimes, but the energy behind doing better when it is shared with others is what makes things like that waterfall emerge from our university campus. Ladies and gentlemen, I am grateful to be your chancellor. I am grateful to be here with you entering into a new academic year. It's time for us to get back to work. Thank you.